Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us for News Channel 13 at 4:30. I'm Bart Bedsole.
And I'm Heather Scold. We continue our special coverage on COVID-19 in Colorado, recovery and relief. It's a special town hall series we put together to help you stay safe and informed throughout this pandemic as we move into the safer at home phase. Our focus today is on the historic unemployment situation at close to 16% and rising. It is now at the highest level since the Great Depression, and right now an estimated 30 million Americans are without jobs, including close to 500,000 here in Colorado.
So where do we go from here? We brought in the experts to answer that, among other pressing concerns. Our guests joining us remotely today are Joe Barella, Executive Director of the State Department of Labor and Employment, and also Tracy Marquez, Executive Director of the Pikes Peak Workforce Center. Welcome to you both. Thanks for spending some time with us. Let's start with Joe to talk about the big picture. About 420,000 Coloradans have filed for unemployment benefits since the outbreak began, a tremendous number. Now, nationwide, the number of new claims each week has dropped for the past few weeks. Is that the case here, and do you think that number has peaked in Colorado?
Yes, thank you, Bart. Very good question. We have seen since as of May 2nd, when we can report out numbers, that was the third week in a row where we've seen a drop since the historic high of over 100,000 near the end of March. And so we have full expectation that that will continue to drop or flatten out and be consistent over the next couple of weeks. In the safer at home phase of this pandemic, we do anticipate there'll be more opportunities for people to be called back to their temporary furloughs or temporary layoffs as the economy starts rolling again.
Okay, this is another question for Joe. We've heard about a number of those issues filing for unemployment initially. Is there still that backlog in the system now? Are you aware of any more glitches?
I think it is pretty astronomical to think about. We went from a 2.5% unemployment to about a 16% unemployment rate. So, at the end of February, early March, we were seeing about 1,000 claimants a week, and we jumped to over 100,000 by the end of March. And so, any system to see a 10,000% increase in volume needs a chance to catch up. And so I do think we put in some practices in place into the online system to handle the load. I believe people are being able to file online and get through the system. We still are having unprecedented demand in our call center, not only because of the unemployment insurance situation, but people, want to find out answers about their stimulus check, about the PPP program through the Small Business Administration. It's not just unemployment, but those calls are still coming into the center. And so we've tripled the size of our employment, our workforce in the call center, and we're trying to get to those. I would encourage people, online is your best opportunity to get through the system and file a claim.
Mr. Barella, the window has changed a bit recently as far as the time frame that people have to receive unemployment benefits. Could you clarify what the current time frame is, and also do you see an extension to that time frame being added down the road?
So with Colorado unemployment insurance, we have 26 weeks. We have added extension of 13 weeks, as well as with the CARES Act. We do have an extension 26 weeks plus an additional 13 weeks that the federal government will cover for people who previously weren't eligible for unemployment insurance with contracted workers, gig economy workers. We do know that through the FPUC, which allows $600 additional a week if you're eligible for unemployment insurance, that is set to expire at the end of July. We will have to wait to see what the Congress and the Senate does at the national level to see if that benefit is going to be extended or not. And in Colorado, that benefit was available starting March 29th.
Good to know. Joe, one more for you. What about benefits for gig workers and people who are self-employed? We have a lot of those folks in Colorado. They are receiving benefits now, but what more, if anything, is being done to help workers who are unexpectedly out of work in that category?
I think they can apply for unemployment insurance through the CARES Act, and that they can apply back through February 2nd is when that is made available, and that is good through December 31st of this year. And so through the CARES Act, that availability for covered workers prior to this pandemic, that benefit system is in place through the end of 2020, so December 31st of 2020. I would encourage, we do have not only the Connecting Colorado site, our coloradoui.gov site that has information about resources and who should be applying and where they should be applying for unemployment insurance. I do want to stress that as we move into the safer at home phase, today on Connecting Colorado, we had over 66,000 jobs that are posted and employers are hiring. And so as people have the availability to go to work, there are opportunities for people to look at full-time employment, part-time employment, as we start moving off unemployment assistance.
Okay, we want to bring in Tracy Marquez into the conversation now. How is the Pikes Peak Workforce Center helping Southern Coloradans navigate the unemployment system now, Tracy?
You know, we are just like the rest of the state and what Joe and his staff is doing. We are extremely busy right now. Our calls increased by 250% since the beginning of March. So we're constantly helping and we're providing hope and guidance and direction to help the residents and the citizens in our community really get the questions answered that they need and point them in the right direction.
And are those currently looking for jobs, looking to get back into the workforce, and exactly who is hiring in our area? What are the hot industries that we're seeing here in Southern Colorado?
You know, and that is a great question. During this time, we've switched from our brick and mortar job fair. We usually have 3 different job fairs in the springtime, and we switched to virtual job fairs. We've had a job fair for our young adult in the beginning of March. We had one for our adults, and we have one up in Teller County that's going on currently. At the end of May, we have a Military Veterans Employment Expo job fair that will be a virtual job fair that currently we have 133 companies registered to attend the job fair. So we are seeing an increase in companies hiring right now in the Pikes Peak region, which is El Paso, Teller County. There's over 8,000 open positions. So we are starting to see companies come back and start to hire again.
8,000 is a good number. You heard Joe say a second ago 66,000, I believe, on Connecting Colorado. That's a great number. What industries are those 6,000 jobs here for? Are they for a couple in particular, or is it really across the board people are hiring?
It really is across the board and really many different industries. We've seen a continuous hire and not a decline in the DoD, cybersecurity, IT sector, engineering. Those have been very consistent during the last couple of months. We're starting to see some increase in hospitality and retail. A very small number are starting to hire and prepare for when they're able to reopen and be that safer at home orders. So we're starting to see those. Healthcare, those are starting to increase, especially in the nursing home assisted living. So we're starting to see the need for those type of jobs to increase.
And kind of an off-the-wall question for you now. If someone is looking at this COVID crisis as a way to maybe bridge into a different career, is this the time to do it?
This is absolutely the time to do it. And we're going to be unveiling some new techniques and assessments that the Workforce Center is going to be able to do. We're looking at interest and aptitude assessments. How can you take the skills that you have and what your interest is and what your aptitude of what you really want to do and where your brain goes as far as an employment opportunity. And we're really going to try to use this time as providing the mismatch of skills that we've had. We've had a skills gap historically over the last several years. This is a great opportunity for those to reevaluate where they're working, what the career pathway is, and really start to look and explore into additional career pathways and industries that they may never have thought of before.
Just to kind of take that to the next step, you mentioned the assessment part and pointing people in the right direction, but are there training programs out there for someone who may be looking to make a career change into a totally new industry and just doesn't have a lot of skills that may transfer over to that industry?
Yes, and that is what workforce centers, that's what we do. Historically, we've been around since the Great Depression, and it's our opportunity to actually retrain and upskill the workforce that we have. We have federal dollars that we're able to use for those who lost their job by no fault of their own to provide them additional training in in-demand occupations where we use our federal funds to actually pay for the training, provide supportive services. We actually, during this difficult time, have purchased computers for those who are trying to complete their GED classes to be able to really finish the education that they need to get that job that's going to take them to the next level and make sustainable income. There's a lot of great opportunities. We're also working on a new plan with El Paso County and the CARES Act funding to use some additional CARES Act funding to upskill and reskill our region.
Okay. Hey, Tracy Marquez and Joe Barella, we want to thank you both for joining us this afternoon.
A lot of great information
Yeah.
for sure. COVID-19 also making a big impact on education these days as teachers, students, and parents shift to e-learning.
Well, tomorrow we look at how this has changed our daily routines a lot, from parents adjusting their roles as teachers to students adjusting to their home classrooms, and what all of that means for us as a whole.
As well as district budgets, a big topic this week. Join us tomorrow night here on KRDO News Channel 13 at 4:30 as our COVID-19 in Colorado Recovery and Relief Town Hall Series continues. More of the day's news is ahead. We'll be right back.